Good evening. I'm Soraya Mia. You're watching AWANI Tonight. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has denied using his position to influence the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC to investigate Bersatu or suspend its bank accounts. He says enforcement agencies and the judiciary are independent and act separately from the executive arm of the government.
Pertama ada laporan yang dibuat pada pihak PDRM dan SPRM tentang penggunaan wang oleh Parti Bersatu. Kedua, saya buat menjalankan kerja saya, tugas saya di Kementerian Kewangan dan melihat projek-projek yang mendalam belanja terlalu tinggi tanpa proses tender.
Anwar said among the projects that incurred high costs were Jana Wibawa during the movement control order and flood mitigation projects. He stressed that the investigation by MACC was not based on his views, but based on over 300 million ringgit found in Bersatu's account.
Meanwhile, Bersatu President Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said his party will write a letter to the MACC to unfreeze Bersatu's accounts, which are being investigated. Muhyiddin said the request is partly to ease the party's operations, including payment of wages to staffs and office rentals. The former Prime Minister had again denied claims that Bersatu received ill-gotten funds during his administration.
Mana bila dah beku akaun, kami sebagai pertubuhan politik yang penting dan besar ni, tak ada duit lah. Nak membayar gaji pentadbiran bukan saja untuk sebulan, untuk sepanjang masa. Kalau dia sekarang ni dikatakan beku untuk 3 bulan. 3 bulan pun susah. Kalau pegawai saya tak ada gaji, nak maintain pejabat tak boleh, nak bayar sewa tak ada. Itu membawa kesan pada kelicinan pentadbiran parti dan juga peranan kita sebagai parti yang penting dalam negara, dalam Perikatan Nasional. Jadi sebab itu kita minta supaya seboleh mungkin selepas dah disemak dan didapati memang tak ada apa-apa bentuk penyelewengan, salah guna kuasa, wang masuk dalam akaun individu, maka SPM harus segerakan membuat keputusan untuk itu dapat dibatalkan.
Separately, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin unveiled Perikatan Nasional's shadow cabinet, which sees him as the chief of PN MPs. In a 26 portfolio committee, past President Tan Sri Abdul Hadi Awang will act as Muhyiddin's deputy, while PN Secretary General Datuk Sri Hamzah Zainuddin remains as opposition leader.
Putrajaya MP Datuk Sri Razzie Jidin will take the finance portfolio, while Indra Makota MP Datuk Sri Saifuddin Abdullah the education and higher education portfolios. Others include Kota Baru MP Datuk Sri Taqiyuddin Hassan overseeing the Home Ministry and Arau MP Datuk Sri Shahidan Kasim Rural Development and Territory Ministry. Muhyiddin said the 26 MPs chosen for these portfolios had the necessary skills and experience to ensure PN acts as an effective opposition in Parliament. He said the Coalition Secretariat will issue policy statements on issues related to the economy, environment, international affairs, defence and national security.
The Negeri Sembilan Legislative Assembly may be dissolved on June 1st to pave the way for state polls. Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Aminuddin Harun says a meeting with leaders of 3 Pakatan Harapan-led states will be held at the end of February to finalise this.
Aminuddin, who is also PKR Vice President, was responding to a statement by Kedah Menteri Besar Datuk Sri Muhammad Sanusi Muhammad Noor, who hinted that the State Assembly there will be dissolved after June 18th. This was based on several factors, including Ramadan, Aidilfitri celebrations and the Hajj season. State elections are due this year in Penang, Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Kedah, Kelantan and Terengganu. Aminuddin said if Kedah dissolved its State Assembly after June 18th, the polls in the 6 states can be held simultaneously. The Election Commission requires polls to be held within 60 days after the State Legislative Assembly is dissolved.
Artificial intelligence can unlock many potential benefits for the ASEAN economy, but is the region keeping pace with AI? We explore some of the challenges economies and organizations face in implementing AI. From MIT IBM Watson AI Lab in Boston, with Astro AWANI's correspondent Farhana Sheikh.
In a world of rapid digitalization, artificial intelligence could benefit the ASEAN economy tremendously. But is the region ready? I'm here at MIT IBM Watson AI Lab to discuss some of the challenges faced by ASEAN to implement AI and how to overcome them.
AI skill has always been a challenge by many organizations. Most organizations naming that as one of the biggest challenge when it comes to building a successful AI practice. So I would say that the first step is getting access to the right skills, if you will. Second challenge that organization often encounters is the quality of the data in the organization may not always be trusted. Data may not always be available. It may be hidden in different data silo. So there's an element of trusted data access. And then finally, I think organizationally, most enterprises or companies aren't ready to roll out AI at a scale that makes a broader impact. And I think a big part of solving these problems are really applying some of the techniques and research that we do at IBM in terms of lowering, for example, the level of skills entry by doing things like auto AI, using techniques that generate machine learning models, or perhaps having a better machine learning model pipeline practice that allows organization to push out machine learning model to the entire enterprise in an easier manner. And then I think finally, collaboration is a big element of it when it comes to changing the organizational process, or at least culturally, to build that AI adoption.
To further advance AI in the region, Kidman advises governments to focus on education and collaboration with AI players.
There's a lot of roles that a government can play. One, education, right? Setting up the right education program, creating the right environment. And a lot of that has to do with partnerships with industry players. So IBM, for example, is partnering with a number of countries to, for example, provide education. So there's some of the work that we'll be doing in the coming year or two will lead into in areas where we're having tighter collaboration with government and as well as education institutions. So one part of addressing that is bringing out the element of education.
More after the break. We'll be right back.
Perjalanan yang mereka akan lalui sangat mencabar, mengharungi badai dan hujan, dari benua ke benua. Namun, ada yang mendapat idea lain. Jika anda perlu terbang, terbanglah dengan lebih bijak.
Ayah, kita dah sampai ke belum?
Nampak gaya dua-dua ni nak DG Fiber. Adik pun berhajat nak talent family kan?
Ceritanya semua orang nak.
Ini pelanin terbaik untuk keluarga.
Gajinya membawa kepuasan tak terhingga. Nikmati kepuasan hari ini. Gajinya puas.
Welcome back. The Philippines has agreed to provide the United States access to 4 more military bases in the country, greatly enhancing Washington's presence in the region at a time of growing concern about Chinese assertiveness in the South China Sea and Taiwan. The U.S. already had access to 5 military bases under a 2014 deal. The expanded access will now allow American forces to rotate to a total of 9 bases throughout the Philippines.
The agreement was unveiled during a visit to Manila by U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, during which he held talks with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Under the expanded access, Washington will fill a crucial gap in U.S. alliances, stretching from South Korea and Japan in the north to Australia in the south. The missing link had been the Philippines, which borders 2 of the biggest potential flashpoints, Taiwan and the South China Sea. The deal has been made under an enhanced defense cooperation agreement in 2014 that allows the US access to Philippine bases for joint training and storing of equipment and supplies. Austin said the US is not seeking permanent basing in the Philippines. The expanded access was to allow more rapid support for humanitarian and climate-related disasters in the Philippines. The US has stepped up efforts to expand its Indo-Pacific security options in recent months amid mounting concerns over Chinese aggression throughout the region.
Meanwhile, China said the Philippines granting the U.S. greater access to military bases will hurt regional stability. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning, in a press conference, said the U.S., out of its own self-interest, continues to strengthen its military deployment, which raises tensions in the region. She urged regional countries to exercise vigilance and avoid being compromised by the U.S. Meanwhile, North Korea has lambasted South Korea and the United States over their joint military exercises, saying the drills have pushed the situation on the Korean peninsula to an extreme red line. Pyongyang also threatened to turn the region into a huge war arsenal and a more critical war zone. In a statement carried by the Korean Central News Agency, Pyongyang said it was not interested in dialogue as long as Washington pursues hostile policies. The U.S. and South Korea staged a joint air exercise on Wednesday that included a B-1B strategic bomber and F-22 and F-35B stealth fighters. The statement also cited a visit to Seoul this week by U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin. Austin and his South Korean counterpart had vowed to expand military drills and deploy more strategic assets to counter North Korea's weapon development. The North vowed that it will respond to any military moves by the U.S. and has strong counteraction strategies, including the most overwhelming nuclear force, if necessary. Ukraine's defense minister said Russia is preparing a major new offensive and warned that it could begin as soon as 24th February. Alexei Reznikov said this is to coincide with the one-year anniversary of the war in Ukraine and warned that as many as 500,000 Russian troops will be mobilized.
Speaking at France, Reznikov was referring to Russia's general mobilization of 300,000 conscripted soldiers in September last year. He claimed that numbers at the border suggest the true size could be closer to 500,000. On Wednesday evening, Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky said Russian forces were trying to make gains that they could show on the February anniversary of their invasion. He also issued a dire account of the situation in the eastern province of Donetsk. On Wednesday evening, a Russian missile attack on residential buildings in the Donetsk region killed at least 3 people. Rescuers are racing to find survivors in the deadly attack.
Myanmar's military regime announced an extension to its state of emergency. This effectively delays elections the junta promised to hold by August. The junta chief Min Aung Hlaing said multi-party elections must be held, but did not provide a timeline for the polls, which cannot be held during a state of emergency. The announcement on Wednesday came as streets emptied and shops closed across Myanmar in a silent protest against the military coup's second anniversary. The empty roads were in contrast to the huge protests seen in the weeks after the February 1, 2021 coup, which were a result of a bloody crackdown by the military forces. The junta justified its takeover, claiming widespread fraud in an election landslide victory won by democratically elected leader Aung San Suu Kyi. The National Action Plan on Forced Labor aims to eliminate the practice by 2030. Tonight on Consider This, we discuss how to reset a labor migration system, which has for decades permitted forced labor practices to become entrenched. That's all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Soraya Mia. See you tomorrow.